What's going on, everyone? We're back with another episode, and here we are with my friend David Graham Cole. How we doing, mate?
Good. How about you?
Yeah, all good. What's the weather like where you are currently?
It's nice. It's kind of cooling down. I'm out here near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So I like the heat, but yeah, it's cooling down a little bit.
Judging by your jacket, I think you're right.
We keep
Yeah,
it we keep it cold in the house though. That's one thing for sure.
yeah. As we had some American friends visit recently when we had a bit of a heat wave. We don't have AC in our houses, so you have to kind of raw dog the heat when it is really
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
But yeah, it's going colder here. It's typical English weather, raining and cold, probably for the next, several months. But glad you have on the on the podcast, mate. It's been a long time coming. We've had a lot of conversations, or probably just me kind of harassing you on TikTok mainly, just asking you questions that enter my head, as you know tends to happen. So I appreciate you connecting with me in the first place and kind of entertaining the questions I had, and for coming on and having a deep dive, mate.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the comments and reaching out. This is my first time getting on a podcast like this, so I'm excited for sure.
Exclusive. There we go. Awesome, man. So I'd like to start right at the beginning. So in terms of who you are, what it is that you do, and a little bit about, yourself growing up and family life, So would you mind kind of sharing a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, I'm David Graham. I am known mainly as a videographer. I also make my own music under David Cole, and Cole is actually my middle name. So Coal. My mom was kind of a hippie. It's pretty uncommon. But yeah, I grew up in a big family. I got four older brothers, two older sisters, and grew up in South Carolina. Uh, was really interested in video since a young age. I think my mom bought me a little camcorder. I think it might even been from the toy aisle. The screen on it was probably the size of a quarter. And I was just always into movies. Lord of the Rings was some of my favorite movies. I really liked, the classics, Godfather. Just I don't watch TV shows. People think I'm weird because of it, but I'll watch the same movie. I was in the Coast Guard and I went on a deployment once, and I probably watched the first Godfather 5 times in a row, and I was studying it. I just get really into movies. So when I was young, I was the same way. Watching Braveheart, I remember crying to it. First movie I ever cried to on VHS. And so I started making videos with my friends, and we were just so excited just to see ourselves on camera. It could be just lighting up fireworks or shooting basketball, and just being so stoked, just looking at ourselves on a computer after putting it out on YouTube. I've made countless YouTube channels, tried different things, channels I would never name so people could never find them. But yeah, I was just
We
always
need to
into
find them.
say what?
We need to find those
Yeah,
channels.
I could send you some exclusive links after. But yeah, no one really in my family was into video, but I did grow up in a very artistic family. Like my father played guitar, sang in the church, and all my other brothers played guitar. Yeah, just a lot of music, and having older siblings, I listen to, a lot of the classics, you know what I mean? Nirvana and Bob Marley posters in the room. And I remember, my brothers listened to Sublime and stuff like that when I was really young. And by the time I got to high school, they thought my generation just found Sublime, and I was already burnt out by that time. And having older siblings, I realized it had a different impact on me. And so moving on to high school, I had a base school, and then I went to this academy, the Academy of Art, Science, and Technology, and I called it Hogwarts because we had a couple of kids in there with capes. But my major was entertainment technology, which is basically film and video, and we literally had to study film and video from the earliest dates, like before sound, and they would give us a thick packet, and we'd have to basically go through these movies and describe them, answer all these questions. It made it not enjoyable to watch movies. But and then in that class, the cool thing was we had to create projects and write scripts. And my friends from my base school was a little more diverse, and so I would have my kind of more wild friends from my base school act in these videos, and they were pretty crazy, but my class loved them. And I remember my class, I'd literally get a standing ovation on just on these ridiculous, short films I made, and my teacher would be shaking his head, just like, this was terrible. And I learned an important lesson, as far as camera angles and all these other things and the technical side of things, it really only matters if it's entertaining. And that always stuck with me because the people watching it, they didn't care if it was a good shot or any of that. They thought it was funny and it entertained them, and they went back and shared it and watched it with their friends. So from there, I didn't like school. So I didn't really want to go to college. And even at that age, it never made sense to me to go to college and get into debt for something I didn't know, if I really wanted to do. But I played soccer. That was my sport in high school and everything. And I was very, blessed and privileged. My parents said, like, we won't pay for you to go to, like, 4-year college, but, we'll pay for community college. I said, I only want to go if I can play soccer. So I ended up walking on at Cape Fear Community College in Wilmington, North Carolina. And then I majored in film and video production there. And that was big, teaching you big budget, how, like, we had people that would work on Quentin Tarantino films come in and tell us their stories. And one lady, and I really realized, like, oh, to work in this film industry, I might have to get someone coffee for 4 years before I'm even able to touch something with a camera or become a certified grip. And that really disinterested me. And another thing was funny, in Wilmington, North Carolina, they used to call it Wilmywood for film. And I guess something happened with tax incentives. So right when I went there, all the filmmaking went away in that town. And I remember I had a teacher once, my video teacher, or my camera teacher. He said, all right, guys, I'm going to be gone for a month. I got a gig. Like, he found a gig. So then I realized, like, oh, all my teachers are just out of work, which was not very inspiring. I didn't.
That's worrying. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it made me not interested anymore. And graduated, got an associate's degree, went back home, was working in a restaurant, not making the best decisions. I was 20 to 21 at the time, and I had an older brother who was in the Coast Guard, the military. And he kind of said, what else do you have better going? I was doing construction during the day and working at a restaurant at night, and I decided, I'll join the Coast Guard. And so, yeah, that was kind of like my childhood growing up until I joined the military. And then we can maybe go over some other stuff, but that's kind of the beginning of it all.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing, man. What an interesting kind of childhood you had, and hearing about kind of what you got into the video making. It's yeah, it could be disheartening. I completely kind of hear what you're saying, and it kind of almost resonates with the kind of independent music scene. Having to get in with the right crowd, the right people, the right label, the right management, just to perhaps get your song out there. But now the world's changed with social media and technology at your hands, and a lot of it's not expensive. Some of it is, as I'm finding out as I go along. But yeah, there's an outlet. If you've got a creative itch, I think there's certainly outlets to kind of progress with that. And we'll like you say, we'll touch upon other things as we go on with the conversation. I suppose one thing that might determine the rest of the conversation that we have is, if you're a soccer fan, have you got a UK football team?
Man, I always disappoint people because I really don't watch sports. I enjoy. I went to one. It was Ireland versus USA. That was the only soccer game I went to. I don't watch American football either. I just don't watch sports. Of course, like, you just like what your older brothers like, and I like Manchester and stuff, but I don't know enough. You know what I mean?
Well, Man United's my team, so we could be friends. We can carry on with this conversation, mate. Just had to check. No, that's awesome, mate. And I think like you say, you're growing up to that point. How old are you now, David?
I'm 28. I turned 29 in 4 days.
Are you checking your diary just to see when your birthday is?
Yeah. I have a bad memory.
Oh man, it's you're in a great position. You're still young. You've got so much kind of that you're doing and so much going ahead. But let's talk about your main gig now and what you're mainly known for, the Truthful sessions. I think I stumbled across this about a year or two ago, and I was like, wow, this, you've got the Radio WV, Appalachia Untold, and some of these, I don't think it's a saturated market, not for the quality videos, but when your stuff that I came across, it just took it to another level in terms of what you're doing. And hearing your background, I can see why that is now. But rather than me kind of explain badly what the Truthful Sessions is, do you want to kind of tell people in your own words, you know, the background to that, the history to it?
Yeah. So before I joined the military, I was living with my sister, my two nephews, and I discovered a channel called Gems on VHS. And they had a more so folk artists like Lost Dog Street Band, Casper Allen, and it's run by Anthony Simpkins. Uh, and I was just listening to that on repeat, and artists like Coulter Wall, and I really liked it, the video aspect and just the music mainly. And then, so I was really inspired by that. And when I joined the military, they gave me a $2,000 signing bonus, and I bought a camera with that. And I got stationed in New Orleans. And I just think as a believer, I think it was a God thing, because when I was stationed at a very peculiar unit, and I had one other person I worked with who I was 21, he was 18, I think at the time, Tanner Redmond. And we're working in a buoy yard, driving forklifts, driving trucks and stuff and equipment. And I kept watching these videos still, and I was like, man, I think I could do this, you know? But I was scared. Like, I didn't have confidence. I wouldn't just reach out to a random artist. But then Tanner Redmond just so happened to be extremely talented, like book smart talented when it comes to music, knew how to like read music and write even classical music, just oddly talented with music for an 18-year-old, 19-year-old. And I just thought, like, I'll just film him. I got nothing to lose. If it sucks, like, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? It's just, I'll start a YouTube channel. And it just happened, stars aligned, and we filmed it in this backyard. Uh, long forgotten road or long forgotten list. There's a debate about what the song name is. And I didn't have a channel name. And his roommate, who's also in the military, I was like, it's got to be something Sessions. And he's like, it's got to be something like Honest. And he's like, Truthful. So he helped us make the name, and it just kind of all happened naturally. We put that video out on a brand new channel, and as I'm sure you know, like it can be random, like you can't expect your first video on a channel with 0 subscribers to really do anything, but it organically got a couple thousand views. The commanding officer of the base we worked at found it. He said, like, he loved it. He wanted Tanner to perform on Coast Guard Day, which he declined. And like, it just organically got a couple thousand views, and that boosted my confidence. And again, I had no idea what I was doing when it comes to like shooting sessions. So, and from there, it just kind of hit me. It's like, I'm in New Orleans, a major hub where artists come through on tour or for whatever, or just live there. And so I started reaching out to people at the time. Casper Allen, who I was a big fan of, lived in New Orleans. So that happened organically. And then of course, one of my most well-known sessions, Bryan, that happened, opened a lot of doors for me, which we can go more into detail about that. But, I'm not going to sit here and say it was some big, like, I want to do this, or I had some big picture or like, moral reason to shoot these sessions a certain way or anything. I just really just want to record good music. It all comes down to what I like, and I take it as a compliment, because when people are like, man, like, you just put out consistently good music on the channel, and I just put out what I like, honestly. I don't think I've ever put out a song where it's like, I don't like this song, but this artist is blowing up. It's never been the case. I've turned down artists, whether it
Yeah.
be because I don't like the music or the messaging in the music, even if they are bigger artists. I guess that is one way where I keep it truthful, but I don't try to like overplay that. You know what I mean?
No, I love that, mate. And that's exactly the same ethos at the Rugged Revival, was that, the music, the people that you're kind of seeing on the podcast or our own sessions, we're fans of. We're genuinely fans of. And 9 times out of 10, we've reached out to them directly.
Yeah.
And it's been an excellent process to do that, because, like you say, it keeps it authentic. The moment we start getting pitched by agents, and you've probably had a lot of people reach out to you in that way, agents of artists or labels and stuff like that, I lose interest pretty quickly. And it's nothing against those guys. It's just, we prefer a method of reaching out to people. There's a plethora of people that we can go to.
Hmm.
Um, But sometimes, there are the odd people that reach out directly and you think, that's great. I had a band reach out to me recently, said, would you mind giving our EP a listen? I was like, yeah, sure thing. I'll always, if I've got the time, sit down. You've made the effort to contact me. I will sit and listen to that. And I think that's actually one of the best albums I've heard,
Yeah.
for months. And I think that's awesome. I love to find people like that. Superb though, mate. It's so yeah, talk us about, some of the artists you've had on. It's great to hear like, how that started and how it sort of organically grew. With the obviously people love to hear about Zach Bryan. His name is in the headlines a lot recently with all this nonsense with whoever the other guy is. I forget his name. But how did that particular video and connection come about?
Um, Strangely enough, it happened like most other people I connect with through social media. At that time, I think it was about 6 years ago now, he was really kind of blowing up on Twitter, I believe. And I was in a work truck, and while I was still in the Coast Guard, and I discovered it, listened to it, I was like, man, this guy's really great. And so I reached out to him on Instagram, and sure enough, he responded. We got on a phone call, and I was taking leave to go home for Christmas, and I was in New Orleans, and he was near Seattle, and I was going back to South Carolina. So I went the opposite way, but I knew, people didn't understand. At that time, I think it's my third or fourth video on the channel, and people didn't understand what I was doing. I had a family member be like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you going out to Washington?" Like, they didn't understand. Like, I was trying to like do something different, like
Yeah.
for YouTube and whatever else. And so yeah, he was very nice to me. He got me an Airbnb for me and one of his friends, and I spent a couple days out there. I spent some time with them. Yeah, we hung out, recorded a couple songs. I think not a lot, not that they would know, but we recorded two sessions actually. One was for my channel, and one was for his. But yeah, he was real nice, and I think the fact that at the time we were both still in the military, I think for anybody in the military, it's almost like an instant camaraderie. It's you're able to relate really quickly, and it's kind of not too hard to get along with most people in that situation. But yeah, I met some of his family. It was a good time. It was and then of course, he's a lot bigger now. So it's just awesome. It's awesome to see. And I'm very thankful for it because I didn't know it at the time, but that video opened up a lot of opportunities, and it made people take me more serious. You know what I mean? Like they just see that and they're like, oh yeah, I'm down to work. At
Yeah.
least a couple years right after that for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting because I always go back to the beginning, and I scroll through people's YouTubes, and you can see the quality was there straight away.
Mm.
Regardless of if it was Zach or somebody else, you're so consistent with the quality of stuff that you're putting out. And it's hilarious. You touch upon family or friends wondering why you're going out to meet random artists, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I mean, my wife was the same. We went to Wales to obviously film Cody, Lee Meese, Joe Clark recently. And she's like, so you're going to meet two guys from America that you don't know at a lake in Wales to film them. I was like, I know that sounds weird, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I'm doing. But you'll
that's
see the after effects.
that's funny you mentioned that because at the time I didn't have a personal Instagram. I think it was the video right after Zach, the artist. Met him at a park, and I was just using the Truthful Sessions. I didn't have my face on it or nothing or anything. And he was when we met up, he was like, "Yeah, my wife thought I was gonna get murdered today. Like I'm meeting some dude on the internet with no face or a real name, saying like, hey, I'll meet you in the woods and shoot a video for you."
I'll bring my camera.
Yeah.
Sounds dodgy, doesn't
So after that, I created my personal Instagram. I was like, yeah, I think I need to.
it? That's hilarious, man. So you've got lots of different videos with lots of different artists, and I'm always interested in like the creative process behind it. So, say if you're meeting, the next artist that you've got lined up, what is going through your mind in terms of setting up the video? Do you have any locations in mind? Any times of the day? What level of detail do you go through?
It all depends. It's actually pretty rare that it's super calculated. A lot of times, when the opportunity comes, you just gotta take it. Like I don't. Sometimes I'll go into a town a day earlier and scout locations. But I don't get audio is more important to me than visual. and as a video guy, it may not make sense, but like I just believe that people come back to a Truthful Sessions video for the music, not a specific shot. The shots can add to it, make it more dramatic, make you feel a little bit more, but the song is what's going to bring them back. So somewhere quiet, you know, the wind is not going to affect it too much. And yeah, I don't want to make them all look the same. I'm a sucker for sunsets. Like chasing sunsets is always something we always kind of joked about. You don't want to overdo it, but still, it's some of my favorite footage. And yeah, I don't ever play. It's just kind of like I guess Destiny or wherever. Like for the Zach session at the Airbnb, we didn't have a location set up or anything, and I got at the Airbnb at night, and when I woke up, I realized I was on the water on a bay and some really cool rocks, and I was like, I think we could just film it here, and it turned out great. And it
Yeah, man.
just seems like so many times that's how it works out, just super organic. Maybe it's laziness or lack of planning, but I look at it like it's just meant to be. But I am trying to get more creative almost with it. And like for instance, Grayson June's song, Trailer Park in my on my channel. That one I took more of like an artistic approach and nothing crazy, but I got B-roll of like people. And I was like, I really want to represent, you know, a large group of people in this. So then I went back to my hometown and got B-roll of people, just almost make it more cinematic and meaningful. And I think I accomplished it with that. So, um, you know, that's something I kind of want to do differently with my sessions is almost blur the lines between music videos and live sessions now. And I think it's a thin line. You don't want to overdo it, but that's something I'm trying to play with more with these days.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I think we'll definitely keep an eye out to get some inspiration. Your channel certainly inspired what we're doing with the grit sessions, and we don't try to copy anyone because it's difficult in the UK. It's different scenery and different places, and I took the same approach. Mainly for me, it was like I don't know this area. There was a random lake, and I thought maybe that'll be good, or maybe it's just going to be a horrible location. I don't know. Let's wake up the next day and just go over there. And like you say, I think fate shines on you sometimes and think it's perfect.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. So for the video geeks out there, and then we'll definitely talk about the audio because I'm, a big proponent in what you're saying. People go back to these live sessions for the audio recordings, and some of my favorite music is actually from live sessions. I prefer the actual audio quality from them to if you go to a studio version on Spotify or something
Yeah.
like that. It's just a different quality to that. So yeah, let's start with the video first, I think. So what is your kind of general setup? Is it just yourself that goes out, or do you have any kind of hired help on a day?
90% of the time it's a solo shoot. Like the session we have coming out tomorrow is solo shoot. Yeah. Uh, the Zach Bryan session was me, and I think he had a friend, like I said, and I think I used one of his shots. I just used mainly my shots. And yeah, I currently have a couple FX30s. I think they get the job done, for what I'm trying to do. And with audio, I used to probably my first 15 sessions were used with lav mics, like really simple, just one on the shirt, one on the guitar.
Oh wow, okay.
And I really just I think where obviously you don't want to record too high and blow out anything. I think what makes the difference though, because even back then I used to get a lot of messages like, how do you get your audio? It sounded so good. And I think I just really took my time and Logic and just tweak things with reverb and the bass and everything. That's where it makes the difference, because if you just take that raw audio, you're like, yeah, it's not going to sound too good. But you also can't overdo it with reverb, and it can
Yeah.
kind of make things a little too dreamy.
Yeah, and particularly for live sessions. And I had a kind of sound in my head that I liked, and it was that not completely raw because I think it
Mm-hmm.
sounds flat and it doesn't bring out the best in what you're recording. But equally, like you say, you don't want to slap a ton of reverb or compression or overdo the EQ because it doesn't sound natural. You might as well go and listen to, a studio mastered version on what's already out there. But it's interesting, you were doing it on lav mics, man. That must be really difficult. What we did recently, we invested in not too many things, mainly the Zoom H6. has been brilliant. It's so easy to use. It's portable, battery operated thing, and we can plug. I think we got the 4-piece one, so we can plug in a couple of guitars, some mics into that. And I got that one specifically because I didn't want to mess around with clipping. And it's got, I think it's at 32-bit float, and
Nice.
it avoids that. So when I whack it into, I use Ableton, and it just works like a dream. It was a windy day when we recorded recently. It didn't pick up hardly any of that. And yeah, I think getting your equipment right is certainly something, but it's those after touches that people probably don't appreciate, like you go into, that kind of bring out the magic to go with that video quality too, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate equipment. Like I don't like video equipment or lighting or audio. I try to keep it simple as possible. I know I got to grow up and be an adult though, because I do want to record more full bands, and obviously the more instruments and more vocals, the more equipment you're gonna need. But yeah, I try to keep it simple. I've even when it comes to lighting, I think out of all the sessions I have out there, I've probably used lighting for 4 of them, 4 or 5 of them. But I will say, I forgot to mention, not every single session on my channel. I think there's about 3 or 4 that I did not film. My friend Daniel from Wallflower Wanderer, he has his own channel, pretty good stuff on there, really good stuff, Wallflower Wanderer. So check that out. And his visual quality is like motion picture. It's insane. He helped me out with a couple sessions when I was in Baltimore, and he started his own channel. And there was one session where he just filmed completely. I was unable to make the shoot, and he shot one for his channel, one for mine. And yeah, and then there was one song on my channel, City of Lost Children, I believe it's called. I did not film or was any part of it, but I hit up the artist and the videographer, and I was like, I'm such a huge fan of this song. I don't think it had that many views on YouTube. I was like, I just love to platform it, because again, I'm a fan at the end of the day. Like, if I love a song or a video or whatever, and I can bring it to, bigger audience, like I love to do that.
That's super
Um,
cool, man. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
at the
don't
end
want
of the
to,
day, we're all fans. Yeah.
yeah, like I don't want to become like a world star hip hop. I don't know if you know what that is,
Yeah,
where
man.
where I just post other people's music videos, but I'm not above it. I don't have much pride when it comes to that stuff. Yeah, so
No,
I'm just
that's
happy to
cool.
be a part of it at the end of the day.
Yeah, happy days, and yeah, we'll definitely check out your friends' work too. It's all inspiring in terms of the world that for people that are interested in this stuff to go and check out all of these different kind of artists and video creators. Um, so you touched on a few things, perhaps hating the video side of it, or finding it difficult. What's been the most kind of challenging things for you? Because I know from my very brief time in touching this, and I think I mentioned just before we jumped on live, was that that was the first time I've ever picked up a camera. I thought it was easy because you pick up your phone and it does it for you. With these cameras, I got the GH5, the Panasonic, because apparently it was good for video. It is if you know what settings to use, and
Mhm.
you kind of practice with it. I kind of went straight in. I didn't adjust white balance, ISO properly, and the sky was blown out. I had a beautiful backdrop in Wales with a lake and mountains, and some of that detail was lost. So I was really peed off with myself for kind of messing that up. But was that like you at the beginning? I mean, you've got a more of a, I suppose, a background with studying that stuff and perhaps using the equipment. But what are the most annoying things for you when you're working with this stuff?
Well, yeah, I'm not very technically savvy, but thankfully, my good friend Christian Eli, I call him the camera wizard. He's my cheat sheet. I go to him for everything. Like literally any questions I have, he'll explain it to me like a third grader. And I learn something new from him every year, basically. So, he's my reference, but yeah, I mean, if you look through my videos, I think hopefully there's some sort of progression. Like I have a lot of sessions that are underexposed or overexposed and just kind of learning the hard way. And I didn't even, if for camera people out there, I don't think I knew what an ND filter was probably until like 3 years ago. which to most camera people, or at least people in the industry, it's like, yeah, no duh, like you need an ND filter if you're shooting outside. And but I just, I just went for it. And something I always like to say is a good quality product is better than a great idea. Because I tell you, if I waited until I had perfect locations, or times where I wanted a second cameraman and no one was available, and if I waited and pushed shoots down the road, like I wouldn't have any content out there.
Yeah.
So I'd rather get her done than try to wait and set up the perfect, shoot. But yeah, technical side of things, for audio, wind is my worst enemy for sure. I've had some great locations, but the wind is just too much. And, sometimes you work with people, it's like, well, we could film it and then record the audio later. And again, I'm not some purist, but still, it's just,
It's not the
it
same, is
doesn't
it?
feel right for me. Like if we're going to record a live session, we got to record a live session.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
I don't really like doing the dub thing. And yeah, you use takes from different, or shots from different takes for whatever. But the main thing is the main thing for what you see. You're seeing them sing the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, as far as camera stuff, I just learned, I stumbled my way through, trying to make the best I can now.
I think that's a good bit of advice, inadvertently perhaps, that just get the content out there. I have a lot of people reach out to us and they want to do stuff and they've been talking about it for months, maybe years. And I'm like, just do it. Nobody's going to judge you. And if they do, they're not the kind of people you want around. So just,
Exactly.
have your vision, put it out there, and you'll get better. Like you say, you're not going to get to a point, I don't think, where you're going to be, a pro level straight away. Life's about learning, and certainly for the Rugged Revival, you look about what we've done, the early days, and we're still not perfect, but getting the content out there and building a community of people and like-minded people is really important, I think.
For sure.
That's
I would even say for artists, it's really sad when I meet an artist. It's usually not someone I'm working with, but the artists I meet and they say, well, I want to record this album or I want to record this, but I just got to get this right mic first, or I got to get enough money for studio time. And it's just like, it's almost like I feel like they're lying to themselves, because you can't, if you spend any time on the internet, you'll realize people have made whole careers from cell phone videos. There's really no excuse anymore. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on a studio session, or get, five other instruments. Like I understand if you want to make a certain type of sound, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, I almost feel sad when I hear people make excuses like, well, I want to make this song, or I want to make this album, or I just need to do this. I just need to do that. I just feel like you're intentionally stopping yourself, maybe because you're afraid or whatever, but it's just, I think deep down people know, like, I don't need all these things. Or maybe they need someone like me to remind them, like, just start recording yourself with your phone. I need to take my own advice more as far as my own music. But yeah, I tell people that all the time.
Definitely, mate. That's a good segue, to talk about your own music. And, I didn't realize who was behind the Truthful sessions. I was just going through the channel and just watching the videos. I love to sit in the evening. I'll have a beer or two and just watch videos of that kind. And, this guy, David Cole, as you put yourself on there, came up. And I was like, this is a cool song, man. I don't know this guy. I love to go on Spotify or find people on Instagram. And I think, and that's where I connected the link. You've got it on your bio, and I thought, oh, this is cool, man. Not only is he recording these awesome videos, but he's making and putting himself out there as an artist. So tell us about that side of yourself, mate.
Yeah, I've always kind of played guitar. I've put some different music out along the way, not so serious music, just with friends and stuff growing up. But yeah, I just got a little more into it. And when I was stationed in Baltimore for training, finally had enough guts to put some music out there, like some sessions. It's like, well, I have a channel. It didn't have that many subscribers back then. And my friend Daniel from Wallflower Wanderer, that's when we started collaborating. I was like, hey, like, what do you think about me singing a song for your channel? And we'll film one for my channel. And so that's what we did. And they got a pretty good response. I had someone, I don't want to name names, but had someone actually very successful in the music industry say that's one of their favorite covers. And that boosted my confidence a lot.
Wow.
And so from there, yeah, I just started taking it a little bit more serious, if you want to call it that, posting TikToks. I have a real bad habit of just like writing a hook in 30 minutes, putting it on TikTok and like, we'll see. And yeah, I mean, and growing up, I played like bass and little stuff in the church with my dad, like nothing crazy. I don't know chord names really. I just kind of figure it out. And I have about 4 or 5 songs written, and so I just want to finish it, take my advice, pull the trigger. I think at this point it's just laziness and not being committed to it as much. But I'll be the first one to say I'll exploit my own channel, put myself on there if I think the song is good enough. Like, and I say that honestly because the last session I put of myself on my channel called Maybe, I had that session filmed and done for over a year. Cause I was like, I don't know, I don't want to have a double standard. It's like, I don't know if it's that good. I don't really think so. And after friends were hearing it, they're like, dude, you should have put this out a year ago,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
eventually had enough confidence, like, you know what, I'll put it out. And it did pretty decent, as far as numbers on my channel. So Lord willing, I'll put out some more soon. You just gotta hold me to it, man. So maybe I'm afraid to tell. Maybe my pride can go to hell. Maybe I could use some help. 'Cause the truth of it is I have to, or I'll lose myself.
I will. I'll check in with you at the end of the year and see what you've done. That was actually the song that I found, and I thought this is a cool song, man. So yeah, definitely put some more stuff out. And are you putting your music out on Spotify? Is that the plan?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try to take my own advice. And again, I like what you said. I can't tell you how many comments I've gotten from people saying, I like this version better than the studio version. I mean, it's so common. I think sometimes it's because people hear the sessions first, and they get used to it, and then the
Yeah,
artist releases studio, and they're like, I don't really like this. But I think a lot of times it just genuinely sounds better.
yeah.
Especially depending on the producer and thing. They can produce it and make it sound too flat or too much. So what I want to do with my own music is basically shoot a lot of live sessions probably and maybe put out an EP or something like that.
That's super cool. We're actually putting out a couple of EPs at the end of this week, just seeing what you guys are doing and other artists. And I think it'd be a shame just to have it live on YouTube because a lot of people are out in their car or they're on their way to work or they're doing something on the commute. And I think why not have it on Spotify? Let's just get the music out there and see what happens. It might be that nobody listens, but you can't. I don't know. I'm not going to spend my days worrying about the algorithm. I just want to put it out there and go, look, this is the work that we've done. These are the artists that we're working with, and we're proud to kind of associate with that and put our music out, man. So we're having fun with it.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the main thing.
got to.
So with your, I mean, I keep saying I love your videos. Absolutely do, man. Is there any like funny moments from filming or any moments that you recall specifically when you're in the midst of doing it? Because I know from when I've been doing it, you kind of get kind of locked in the zone of recording, just making sure everything's on, everything's going smoothly. It's hard to also listen to the music because you're so busy doing everything that you're doing. But, there's sometimes you sit back and think, wow, this is amazing. Or just in the moment, of where you are and who you're with, and you think, this is incredible. I may never do this again. But for you, has there been any kind of moments like that?
One funny moment that I bring up to a lot of artists. I mean, I guess for musicians they may think it's funny, but I had one artist. He said, "Have you ever had an artist do it in one take?" And I was like, no, I don't think so. In meeting, like they do it one take, like perfect, don't like that's it. And I said, no, I don't think so. And he said, watch this. And then he did about 11, 12 takes for that one song. So, but I always tell artists, like, don't overthink it. You mess up, let's just restart. I've had a lot of like grateful moments because truth be told, as crazy as it may seem, I don't really enjoy concerts. I don't like going into crowds just sitting there watching. But I get to experience a lot of live music for what I do, which is really cool. And just, I just had a lot of thankful moments being at like a sunset somewhere and just hearing great music and knowing we got the take, just like definitely a euphoric feeling, just being like, wow, like this is awesome. And sometimes it doesn't feel real. I have people in my family and stuff. It's like, you got a really cool job, you get to travel and listen to good music and record it, and meet these people. So yeah, it's just pretty incredible. Yeah, almost every time, like the sessions I'm about to put out this week, like I had chills, like recording some of these songs. It's a great experience.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it, man. And, I love the kind of storytelling aspect through the visuals that you put out there, as well as the music. And there was one particular, a lady that you had on your channel, Tootsie Rose, an older lady. So tell us about that. That's really interesting because I haven't seen any um, video creator put anything like that out. And I thought it was so interesting to kind of. It was more of a story at the beginning, wasn't it? So you filmed some kind of B-roll and she played some music, and I thought that was so cute, to have her on. So
Yeah,
yeah,
she's a very sweet woman. I was very thankful to link up with her. It was through her granddaughter because I saw Miss Dootsy Rose on Facebook, going viral. That's how it popped up, singing these old classic gospel songs. And so I was like, wow, I'd love to record her. It's like history as well. So I got in touch with the granddaughter. Again, I probably seem like a crazy person, because they're not involved in the industry or anything. I'm just some dude on Facebook being like, hey, like I'd love to come to Kentucky and record your grandmother. And I don't think it was an instant yes. It was kind of like, okay, we'll see, and then eventually it linked up and it was awesome. We went to an old church, and Miss Dootsy is just a very sweet woman. She made me laugh a lot. And I remember it was cold and she was so concerned about me. Like she kept wanting me to go to the truck and get warm. I'm like, no, like I'm setting up, like I'm fine. You go to the car, like just really nice. And, yeah, a lot of times, sometimes I forget, honestly, but I like to get interviews with the artists telling me about the music or themselves. And I think with her, it was even more instrumental with what those sessions came out to be. Facebook loves her stuff. I don't think her videos on Truthful Sessions Facebook do better than any videos. It's incredible. The response she gets on YouTube's pretty good as well. Um, but yeah, the way that all lined up, and she was on. I didn't realize till after I contacted her granddaughter that she was on a channel called Soft White Underbelly. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's a
no.
very big YouTube channel in the United States where they interview people, and she's had interviews on there, which was pretty crazy because
Oh wow.
I would check out that channel. It's got a lot of it can be kind of controversial, but they just interview people, and she was on there. I was like, that's pretty crazy. So. No, it was awesome how it all linked up.
Lord, you are my strength. By myself I can't stand, and I need you to walk with me down the straight and narrow way. And Lord, I feel you're coming soon, and this could be the day.
Yeah, so she's got a whole story behind Miss Tootsie. That's really cool, man. And like you say, I love the fact that you did that kind of interview and then went into the music. And is that something that you're considering doing more of going forward?
Yeah, I do like to do interviews, and I go back and forth about it because I actually made a post on Truthful Sessions, which you can do on YouTube now, and I asked my subscribers, what do y'all want to see? Like, do you want to see some interviews with artists, or should I just keep it to the music or behind the scenes? And I don't remember how many people responded, but pretty much everyone who responded said just keep it to the music.
Oh, okay, that's
And
interesting. Yeah,
yeah, I think it's important to listen, I guess, to your audience. Not that I have a huge audience or whatever, but one thing I like about it is I've gotten a lot of comments saying like we put the Truthful Sessions playlist on at work and we just listen. And that's one thing where I'm kind of aware of. Like I don't want to have too much interview time because if you're there to listen to music, you're not going to
yeah,
listen to someone speak. And so but I think it can work if you keep it short and brief. But I do have another YouTube channel called Truthful Productions. I've neglected for a while, but that is strictly interviews. And I actually have an interview with the artist on my hat, Logan Mack, a real talented songwriter. He's been on the channel a couple times. He'll be the first artist I've interviewed that's going to be on the channel. Mainly, I interviewed my brother, talked about his past with substance abuse, and I've interviewed ex cartel member. So
oh,
it's
really?
yeah, it's not very music based so far, and I don't really want to keep it too much one lane, but
Yeah, yeah,
I've kind of thought like I do maybe like bring the interviews from the artists over there, you know. But Logan Mack, he'll be the first artist. The interview's done. I just gotta upload it. So Truthful Productions, that's the other channel where strictly
Truthful
interviews.
Productions. I'm going to go subscribe to that, mate. Is it
Appreciate it.
going to be more of a kind of almost like podcast style like this? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, podcast style. You'll see it's real low key again. I actually had to use lights for those, but yeah, it'll be sit down. I don't want to. Again, I'm not too strict on myself. You know, I love to do person to person interviews where you can see me. But if it comes down to it, time wise and location, like I'll just interview the people. You know, I'm a big person on not overthinking things. You know, like because again, I call them stop signs. The more like I have to have this, I have to have a second camera, I have to. The less likely you're going to actually create a product.
I've seen plenty of people do that. They start up a podcast and they invest in, you know, they probably rent the studio, because what I see them using is really expensive stuff. And I'm thinking, you know, it took us a while to build up our equipment base that we've got, you know, with the mics, and we've only recently got decent mics, you know, that aren't blowing out, and I'm not having to kind of whisper into them. And, you know, it's all important stuff. I think for me, the audio is first and foremost. And pretty much like the Truthful sessions, you know, the video, I want it to look good, you know, and put it out there, because you've got to be proud of it. But at the end of the day, people are mainly listening to your words and your story and stuff that you're putting out there. So, no, good luck, man. I really want to start listening to your, Truthful Production and the Mafia guy. That sounds, interesting, man.
Yeah, he's got quite a story.
Fantastic. So what's coming up next for you then, David? Have you got, you mentioned some more videos that you're excited to release. So have you got a date when we can expect those?
Right now, just the only thing I have planned as far as releases is Caleb King, releasing tomorrow. And then I have a couple artists, kind of in the backlog, and it's just trying to figure out when the best time to put those out are. I always try to separate artists. I don't think I've ever released 2 videos from the same artist back to back. Even if they're ready, I like to kind of switch it up. So I got a couple artists that have already been on the channel that have more songs. I'm just kind of, you know, wanting to separate it all.
Yeah.
This month has been a lot of family time, but I plan on setting up more shoots and trying to work with people before they get all swallowed up by labels and I have to go
Catch
through a
them
bunch
while
of red tape.
they're still on planet Earth. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's hard. So, are you doing any collaborations? Because I forgive me if I've got this incorrect, but did you work with like Radio WV before and places like that?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that my good friend Draven at Radio WV, he brought a lot of opportunity to me. When I got out of the military to pursue it full time, we're good friends, and so when I got out of the military, he said, I got an opportunity for you, a lot of paid gigs still in the music realm, because I was scared, you know, going from the military, such, you know, consistent pay to going into full-time video was very scary. And so I got out and I worked, I kind of went on tour with one artist who was really blowing up at the time. And that was all through Draven at Radio WV. And then we started collaborating. I helped him film a couple sessions. We collaborated on some sessions. So yeah, he's a good friend. They put out great stuff over there. I've been a part of a couple sessions over there, as well as, you know, he's been a part of a couple sessions on my channel.
That's awesome, man.
And then recently Eastern AF, Eastern S Folk. I don't know. Are you aware of them?
No, that's a good one to check out.
Yeah, they don't have, you know, I don't believe they have 10,000 subscribers yet, but their views are solid for how many subscribers they have, and the talent is great. And just being a Southerner, like, it's awesome to see because they're based out of North Carolina, and the talent that they have locally. I've actually got in contact with a couple artists through them. Isaac Hickerson is one of them. We just put out a recent session, and so we've collaborated a couple times now. Just great guy, Mark T. Evans. He knows what he's doing with the camera, and he really knows how to find talent for sure. So that's another channel I would definitely suggest checking out.
Superb, man. So what would you say is the secret sauce? Is there no secret sauce to doing this and getting the views on YouTube and what have you? Everyone's trying to crack it, you know, even us with the algorithm and the constant fight every day. Is there one thing that you've seen that actually works and you think, if you keep at it, consistency, or is it literally just pulling good stuff out, and keeping that audience, happy with the quality of stuff that you're putting there?
Yeah, sometimes I don't really feel like qualified to speak on this. I think, it's just not the most exciting answer. I think it comes down to the music, first of all. Uh, and you got to realize what you're in it for. If you're in it to just make money, you're probably going to get burnt out real quick, because anyone who does YouTube realizes you got to get a lot of views, and you got to do it at a reasonable level. Cause you want to be consistent, but if your shoots require a 4-man crew, thousands of dollars invested, and then you make no money or $20 on it, and you're not doing it out of the love of it, like, you're going to get burnt out. So, I think that's what's been good about me is I keep my, production costs low. I've paid friends. I've had friends who've never touched a camera in their life be camera B. Right 10 minutes before a shoot, back in the day, I'll say, hey, this is how you record it. Just make sure you don't cut off the top of their head with the camera view and
Point and
get
shoot.
it going, Like I really keep things kind of easy, because it gets stressful the more you put into a session hoping to get a payback on it, and you don't. You got to make sure you do it because you love it and you love the music. So
Definitely, mate. Definitely. Man, this has been such an interesting conversation, and I appreciate you sharing as much as you have, because like you say, any geeks like me out there listening just like to see behind the curtains of how some of this stuff is made. Some of your favorite music, some of your favorite videos. It's all interesting. I like to leave on a kind of light-hearted note. So I do something called Pass the Mic, and this is a question from the previous guest that I had on. Have no clue who's on my next show, and they can ask anything in the world, whether it's music-related or not. So I had Scott Lowe on last week. He's a blues virtuoso from Georgia. He was actually quite kind. He had a bit of a weird question from the guest before him. But Scott's been kind to you. He said, what is your favorite song in the world right now? It could be from any genre.
sorry, it broke up for a second. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, my apologies, man. So Scott Lowe has asked, what is your favorite song in the world right now? And it could be from any genre.
What is Love? I think by Hadaway.
Oh, okay. I love that.
Yeah, that's always just been. It was one of me and my dad's favorite songs. And truth be told, I listen to a lot of like techno and stuff like that, and '90s dance. Like that's just always been a classic. I don't know if you know that song.
Yeah, man, it was big in the UK. And funny you say about the dance. Back in my previous life, I was a DJ, house music, trance music. That was my bread and butter from the age of like 15 to mid-20s and late 20s. But
Nice.
not Hadaway. I didn't have Hadaway on vinyl, but I love that, mate. So you've got a chance now. I'm not going to tell you who's on the show next, but what would your question be to them? It could be absolutely anything, music related, off the wall, kind, unkind. It could be whatever you want, mate.
Well, I guess I mean, it'll be a basic one, but I guess I'll assume they're somewhere in the artistic world. But if you could go back before you started your artistic endeavor, what would you have done differently?
Great question, mate. It will leave a lot of people stumped, and we might have some silence for a while.
Yeah, my question was easy. That one's a little different.
Hadaway. I wouldn't have admitted that personally, but good on you, David. It's definitely truthful. But look, man, thank you so much for joining me today. Everyone, make sure you go out check David's work, both on the Truthful Sessions and on Truthful Productions, then, because I'm keen to see the podcast that you're putting out there. And yeah, go follow you on all platforms. Where's the best place to kind of find you if people want to message you or get in touch?
The Truthful Sessions account, just Truthful Sessions on Gmail. My personal account, David Cole Graham. If you probably should look up David Graham, it'll come up. And that account is also in the bio of the Truthful Sessions. So yeah, that's the easiest way to get to me. Instagram DMs for sure.
Yeah, that works well for me. If you want to harass anyone, any artists, I just go straight to Instagram DMs. They might respond, They might not. We'll see. But look, dude, I'll put the all the links in the episode description as well so people can find that. But yeah, until next time, man, it's been a pleasure, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, brother.
Cheers, buddy.